This is the Deerfield River. Today, it's a popular gathering place for paddlers, fishermen, and locals on hot summer days. It's easy to take for granted its regular releases and minimum flows, but the river and its community haven't always looked like this. It took individuals and groups like New England Flow and American Whitewater almost 6 years, starting in the 1980s, to negotiate a deal with the New England Power Company that would expand recreational use of the river. It was all part of the relicensing of the power company's dams on the Deerfield, and the results completely changed the river.
The relicensing that happened of the Deerfield in 1993 was the first time that the river had been relicensed. It was originally licensed in 1953, and it was 40 years until they had to look at the license again.
I can count on two hands the number of folks that used the Deerfield regularly before there were guaranteed releases.
There were very few people that paddled the Deerfield before the relicensing.
There were a number of sections of the river that were bone dry. There was no water at all. It was all bypassed either through a tunnel or through a penstock or something else like that. And so there was a pretty significant baseline condition from which to mitigate from.
It happened, it was actually nothing but coincidence, but it happened that when we started ZOR, the relicensing was just about to happen, and so the two really timed perfectly together.
Back in those days, there was really only one way to relicense, or one method. It was fairly, here's what we're going to do. The agencies piled and the stakeholders piled all on to what we had proposed, and we battled it out, and it was very sort of convoluted.
During that licensing, the relicensing, they addressed a lot of issues that hadn't been addressed in the first licensing.
It became apparent that there may be opportunities to negotiate, find win-wins.
A number of folks got together to form a group called New England Flow. When we first organized, it was a group of basically 10 people, 10 kayakers that had a vested interest. Several of us owned businesses. All of us volunteered our time and volunteered our resources. We were given a grant by American Whitewater. We were showing very good success with the money that they gave us. I think it was $1,000. In the following year, American Whitewater followed up with another $1,000 grant.
The relicensing is a long process. It took about 6 years to complete, and it was a process that involved a lot of public meetings, a lot of input from various representatives from different groups. There were fishing interests, there were historical interests, there were aesthetic interests, there were economic interests, and everybody sort of had their say. They were all able to come to the table and sort of state their interest in the river and in the management of the river. One of the things about the Deerfield that changed in the relicensing was that the timing of the releases is now according to a recreational schedule as well as according to power demand. Now on 106 days a year, they run the Deerfield River, the Fife Brook section that we're standing by right here, just for the purpose of recreation. As
part of the settlement agreement, the fisheries were big winners also. There was now a guaranteed minimum flow for fisheries habitat. There was also 18,000 acres of land that was set aside as part of the agreement. And for the first time, a fund was set up of $100,000 for future use on the Deerfield River.